Welcome to Amplifying Wellness with TLC. This is a podcast where we are dedicated to your self-care and wellness. We will be sharing guest stories, information, and tips on how to live healthier and happier lives. We are Twin Life Coaching and Business Services with your host, myself, Tara Lehman, and of course, my sister and partner, Barb Schutz. We care about increasing awareness around self-care and mental health through this podcast, coaching, consulting, and more. To find out all about our services, please visit us at twinlifecoaching.ca. That's .ca as in Canada. Also, as a reminder, this podcast is for sharing of stories and information only and is not intended to be or replace any medical advice you are seeking or have received. So today we're joined by Terraine Brown. Terraine's a relationship and mental health coach and owner of Behnd the Shades Coaching. Welcome to the show, Terraine.
Thank you, ladies, for having me here, Barbara and Tara. It is a pleasure to be here with the both of you. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So, we can't wait to talk about your important topic today around self-improvement and positivity in life. But why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your background with wellness and self-care?
Absolutely. So like many people in the pandemic, when it was lockdowns here in Toronto, Canada, it was like a scary time, right? You couldn't go out and hug anyone. You couldn't see your family. I remember, I don't think I gave out so many, queen waves to people walking by, right?
From the balcony, right?
From the balcony, right? So I was royal Terraine for about 2.5 years here in Canada. But one of the reasons why I started is that I know that I was going through withdrawal from people because I feel so connected with others, and not being able to see some of the people that were very close to me was difficult. So I decided to go back to school and learn about the human experience as well as get credentials. And that brought me to the point where I am today, where I felt that, hey, if it was able to help me get through an unusual and difficult time, maybe it could help so many other people. So that's why I'm here today. And that's how I got into it initially.
That's awesome. And always nice to have fellow Canadians on our show, of course.
Yeah. Did we know that before, or we didn't know that?
I don't think we did. No, I think it's great. We don't get a lot of Canadians, so it's great.
And we're pretty close to Toronto.
Yes, we are.
Even better. There you go.
So obviously very important and a great thing that you did during these tough times. When you think about positivity maybe in life or overall, as we know that that's what you like to discuss with self-improvement within our lives, why is that important to you besides COVID? I mean, you're continuing to do it. So why is that continuing to be a key thing for you?
I think for me, because I've been a very outgoing and positive person, it was less difficult for me throughout the 35 years I've been on this earth to navigate from a more positive perspective. But there's so many people out there that suffer from negative emotions and they dwell in those emotions, right? Like if you look at the personality test, and there's like these 16 different personality types, and then within them, there's all these different characteristics of each. Many of us suffer from negative thoughts. So I wanted to be that person that was able to help them through it. So I'll give you an example. I work with a charity here that deals with women who are at risk, who have been financially, physically, or mentally abused, right? And you want to help them find the silver lining and to bounce back from those situations. So I wanted to take that and learn, saying that if someone was there to help me in my 20s, shouldn't I pay that forward and help someone in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s? So that's why I continue to do it going forward. And as God is my witness, ladies, I'm going to continue doing it until I stop existing on this earth. That's my
And I love that. I think, even now, like what they say post-COVID, but my husband's got it for the first time right now. But, we think about all of the negativity in the world in general. I mean, I get a lot of clients. They're just stressed out and frustrated by that. And trying to find positivity when the bank account's empty, or trying to find positivity when, there's so much suffering in the world. It can be really difficult for those types of tough situations. And obviously where you were saying helping the women, how do you manage that yourself? How do you ensure your own self-care to help others do this?
Well, I go to the gym.
Good, yeah.
Yes, and absolutely. And I took up boxing.
Mm.
I got a punching bag here and I named the punching bag. I'm not going to reveal the name because maybe some ex-girlfriend might think it's her. So, so what I did was I labeled it my problems, and whatever I went through, I said, okay, I'm going to unleash this energy onto my problems. So after 30, 45 minutes, I'm clear. I come back inside from the garage. I read a book. I have dinner, and I say to myself, you've released it. Don't think about it. Move on. So I think some of us probably need the proverbial punching bag so they can clear their minds, because you're absolutely right. I can turn on the TV, see something negative. I can go on social media and see something negative. If you were to ask someone, tell me a time where someone has hurt you, they can come up with so many different times. But if you were to ask them, how about a time when someone has loved you, has shown you compassion, has shown you generosity? That might be a little bit difficult conversation. So that's what I ultimately want to guide people to say, hey, don't forget what people have done for you. And hopefully I can be one of those people that will continue to do positive things with the people I work with.
No, that's great. I'm glad the self-care. I think we all need it, and exercise, great way. And I love the punching bag name, like naming it and putting your issues on that punching bag. I love it.
Yes, problems, hopefully I can, maybe tomorrow I'll see my problems.
Yeah.
From there.
That's a great idea.
So when you're working with some of your clients that you've been working with, what are some of the challenges that they're struggling to overcome when it's trying to find this, self-improvement, this positivity?
I think putting a name to it, or a situation. Yeah. There's one person I work with. She's in her 60s, and she asked me the question, Terraine, will I be able to ever find love again? And she asked that question because she felt at the time that she was too old for love. And I told her, love doesn't have an expiry. Love doesn't have an age limit. From the day that we're born, we're loved until the day that we are no longer here. We are loved. And for many of us, after we're gone, we're still loved because the memory of that person. So one of the biggest challenges is to have people that I work with is to have people believe that a good situation is something that they could attain. Love is something that they could find. Positive words is something that they can hear, because many of the clients, they haven't heard it for a number of years. And because I work with women, I represent, being a man now, everything bad that has happened to them. So in a way, I got to work with them to overturn that, and for them not to look at men as this big, scary thing, but look at them as, hey, I can be loved by a man again, regardless of what one man has done to me in my past.
Yeah, for sure.
I find that really, really interesting that how you are empowering women within, even to find their own self-improvement and their positivity. But you're a man, and like you said, I find that very interesting. You work specifically with women, just to empower them to get back on track again.
Yeah, I will always say that we are better together than we are alone.
Yeah.
And I think the women I work with, they get that. And even some of the men that I have contact with, like some of my friends, they'll understand that, because it's not, we all have our issues, right? We all have our problems and we all have our struggles. But if I can look to someone and say, can you carry this burden for me? Because some days my shoulders are not strong enough. So I want to be that person that's going to help them carry the load. And I'm glad that the women, that I work with can have enough trust in me to help them self-improve, because that's ultimately what I want, because I was able to have someone help me. So hopefully I can be that same mentor, that same coach for them.
And I think trust is a key word there, right? Because they have to overcome that to speak with you in the first place. So obviously they're liking your offering. I do have to come back to something you said with the one example that you provided. So I have a quote my daughter gave me, unknown, but it certainly speaks to what you're trying to accomplish. And it is, your dream does not have an expiry date. And I think that speaks to what you were talking about with your client and not thinking she could find love again or things like that. I mean, people need to know that, even in a negative mind space, we still believe that, I mean, all three of us, we believe that your dream doesn't have that expiry date, or at least I feel that way. But I thought I wanted to share that because it's such a great quote, and I have it posted on my vision board because I love it so much.
I think that's fantastic. And, it's like when you're looking up at the stars and you can only see it at night when it's its darkest moment, right? And the sun always looks so much brighter to us, right when it's, at its darkest moment. So you're absolutely right. I think if we could just understand that your dream, love, positivity doesn't have an expiry, regardless of what you went through. And I understand life can be very, very difficult, but believe in yourself first and foremost, and then you can find others that's going to believe in you. And when you do, this world is such a place filled with so much love. Why not just take advantage of it and experience it as well?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. So since we're on the topic of, a little couple, a few little things that we can give as positivity, do you have any wins with your clients that you can share where you were so proud of them for taking that positivity and moving forward with something?
Yes. So two of the ladies I work with, they actually found relationships since working with me.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm very happy for that, even though they, always give the joke that probably when they were being courted all those centuries ago, because they're older, it was probably the man came up, he took the ferry to the farmer's market, she dropped her handkerchief, and he's like, okay, that's the one I want. Very old school 1900s, as the young kids would say. But I love hearing that they're in relationships. One lady, she's in her 50s, and she told me, Terraine, he kissed me for the first time after my date. And to hear the way she described it, it's probably like how we all heard it back in our teens, right? Where you're fiddling with the keys and you don't know if you should, but you want to. And the movies tell us just lean in and close your eyes and it'll all work out.
Go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. It worked out for her. But for her to share that with someone like me who in a lot of ways could be, if I was a few years younger, I could be old enough to be her son, right? Because of the age difference. For her to be so happy, so proud, I think sometimes we forget the power of the interaction. I remember the first time I kissed someone that I was dating, it was like it was magical. So I can understand what she was going through, especially after all the pain that she has endured, and to hear that I helped her along those ways made me feel really good. So I definitely will count that as a win.
That sounds awesome. I love it. Those are really good feel-good stories too.
Yeah. So why don't we talk about a little bit more about this whole positivity? What are some 3 easy ways for any of us to go about creating a little more positivity in our lives? I'm sure you've got lots and lots of ideas, but what are kind of the 3 top things maybe you share with your clients or you find that work with your clients? Just so that everyone can have a little bit in their day, work or at home.
Absolutely. So for me, the one thing that I do, because I have a lot of mirrors in my house, I tell my clients, every time you pass a mirror, tell the mirror something you like about yourself.
Oh, that's awesome. A great idea.
So when you walk by it, you stop, you look, okay, I like my hair today, and then you continue. But you don't pass the mirror without saying anything positive about yourself. Number 2 is at your desk, whether you're working from home, in the office, or otherwise, have an image or an item of a positive memory. So right now at my desk, I have, because I used to be a really big Blue Jays fan back in the 90s. So I have the bobblehead of Dave Stieb, Pat Henkin, and Roy Halladay.
Yeah.
That's in front of me. And then I have, a little keychain of the very first, trip that I went on outside of Canada, which coincidentally was Vegas. But it still counts.
Yes, it does. It wasn't in Canada, so it counts.
Yeah, it was in Canada, right? And then number 3, make sure that the type of love you are going to receive is a type of love that you would give for yourself. Right? Don't get tricked by other people. So those are the 3. Don't pass the mirror without saying anything positive. Have something around you that is a positive memory, an item, a picture, or something else. And the love that you're going to receive, make sure it's the type of love that you would give out.
Those are great ideas. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah. I love having
I,
something on your desk. Ironically, on my desk, I have, I'll show you guys, even though our listeners can't see, but this is the paw print of my dog that passed away a couple of years ago. And it sits on my desk beside me because I just, love that dog. So that's my thing that sits on my desk.
Oh, I
yeah.
love
Always
that.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to comment on the mirror. One thing I share with my clients a lot who are really feeling down about things is, to smile because it automatically changes your brain a little bit, right? But even better, smile at yourself in the mirror.
Ooh, I
Your
like
brain
that.
can't help but feel happier. And it may be short-lived. It might be the boost anybody needs during the day to feel more positive, but just smiling alone or smiling in the mirror at yourself. And anybody who's listening, if you're afraid that someone's going to see you, then do it in the bathroom,
That's so
go
true.
somewhere private. But it does wonders, just absolute wonders. A coach told me that many years ago, and I have now spread the word about it because it's amazing. So do you have, tips that we could do at work? Because sometimes work it could be a toxic workplace, or it could be, somewhere where it's a little bit more difficult to find the positivity some days. And I'm just wondering if you have different tips for there in that atmosphere, or if they're pretty much the same.
Well, the item at your desk you can do at work, like if, let's say if you're working in the office, because
Mm-hmm.
I work from home currently now, but when I was in the office in 2019 and 2018, something that I did was I set up an email that would be sent to me just with a positivity quote, meaning that
Okay.
you are good today. I'll read it. Perfect. It'll go on, right? Or it could be something along the lines saying that you matter. That's why you are at work today. Something along
Okay.
those lines, right? So it
I
was
like
very
that.
quote positive heavy. Like now I'm learning different words. So now it's a little bit different because I just love books and words. So that works for me. But reading words that are tailored to yourself can definitely help you, especially if you're in the office and so many of us maybe don't enjoy our jobs. We don't hate it, but we don't enjoy it. So having that sent to you, because now you're anticipating it, right? Barb's going to get an email at 10 a.m. that's going to say that she's the greatest person in the world because she's sending it to herself, right?
Look, you made her
So
just boom with smiles.
yeah, you're building it. And I think, and there's the way, the web works now, the internet, there's so many things you can set up through email just to send to yourself. It's pretty
True.
easy. You go to Google, you pull it up, you say, okay, I want to send myself daily positive quotes, and Google will find it for you, send it to your email. And that's a perfect way to feel
Beautiful.
better at work.
Yeah, I really like that idea, especially if you're having a really stressful day and you can just leave that email till you're ready to open it, and then it just kind of can make your day a little bit better. I love that idea. That's great.
Yeah, me too. So if we were to put all of those things together and you had to give everybody this one big tip, that is the thing that if you're really feeling, negative and you need to feel a little bit more positive, what would that big thing be that we could have as our takeaway?
The biggest one out of everything I mentioned is the mirror one,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I say that because your body, from a physical standpoint, an emotional standpoint, and a mental standpoint, there's going to be days that maybe you don't feel the best. I feel kind of chubby today. Well, I'm having an off day, low energy. Well, my mental health there's going to be so many factors. So I would say the mirror one, even if you have to get one of those hand mirrors is put at your desk. I have one, or I
Mm-hmm.
had one until I broke it. But
Yeah.
or have one beside you and just look at it and say, Terraine, you are going to have a good day. Terraine, I like your smile. Terraine, your teeth look nice and white today. Whatever the case is, because you won't always hear it from someone else,
Mm-hmm.
but you can control how often you say it to yourself. So why not say it as often as you can? So to everyone listening, take a moment and say, hey, I matter. I'm special, but say it to yourself, and then others by, the manifestation, they will start to pick it up because you're going to exude the positive vibes, and then everyone's going to catch on at that point.
And I'll say add a smile, but I have a question, because sometimes We can look at ourselves in the mirror and say something positive and then suddenly notice something negative. How do we make sure that all we do in that mirror is say something positive, maybe a smile, and keep it upbeat? What is your thought on that?
Well, the negative thoughts, that's going to be tough, especially from I would say if you look in the mirror from a physical standpoint, that's easier to see, right? Like scars on the body are always easier to see than scars on the mind and emotionally. I would say as soon as you say something positive, quickly move on, right? Now, if you catch yourself thinking negative thoughts, saying, this pants, I don't know, may look on me, say that, hey, this pants may not look the best on me, but I know all the things I had to do to be able to obtain these pants. I had to work hard. I had to save money. I had to maybe work a job and provide whatever the things you have to come up with, because you can turn that negative experience into a positive one. So I'll give you an example. When I first bought my house, I started to share the news with my friends at that time. And there's one friend that turned around and said, Terraine, why is it that you can get a house and I can't? Totally turning the positive experience into a negative one. And I took it as such. But then when I started to reflect on that situation, I said, you know what? Maybe that was a moment for that person who was reaching out to me to help them get a house because it was part of their dream as well. Right? So I was able to turn that into a positive. So that made me feel a little bit better. So that's the example I like to give. When you start to have negative thoughts because of an interaction with someone else or even within yourself, think about something positive that could overturn that and then go from there.
Love it. Reframe those thoughts. Reframe the negative thoughts. Yeah.
Oh, we had such a great conversation for the last few minutes. It's been awesome. Terraine, if anyone from our audience was wanting to find out more about you or, wanted to reach out to you for some support, how might they find you online?
Absolutely. So you can email me at behindtheshadesinterviews@gmail.com, all one long word, or you can reach me at my website at www.behindtheshades.ca. CA, as was mentioned earlier, is for our Canadians out there. That's what we have to do sometimes.
Yeah.
And as of right now, I'm offering free coaching for anyone that goes through any podcasts or interviews that I do. So please sign up. And I'll definitely help you out there. So those are the two best ways to reach out to me.
Great.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. And that's awesome for offering our listeners a free coaching session as well. Thank you very much for your time with us and the offer. It was a great conversation on a really important topic, especially in our world today. Thank you, Terraine.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Bar, for having me today. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with you both.
And we want to, of course, thank you, our listeners, for joining all of us today. We can't wait to bring you more of Amplifying Your Wellness with us and our guests sharing stories to help you on your self-care journey. To find us on social media, we are on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn as Twin Life Coaching and Business Services. You can also find us on YouTube with our handle at Twin Life Coaching. Of course, to find out more about all of our services, please visit us at twinlifecoaching.ca. Until next time, remember, you've got this.